What's all the NADA show buzz about? Hey, what's going on? It's industry trends, EV, AI, online retailing, digital marketing, fixed ops. You want to stay tuned to learn more about how to grow your business and get the most out of this massive live event, NADA show. Happy New Year, ecosystem, and welcome back. If this is your first time, please do feel welcome. We're going to have a great show tonight. Please do leave a like if you get a chance. You can click share. You can click copy. Grab that YouTube link. If this is your first time, please do feel welcome. What we've got tonight is always have the auto logistics news here coming up in a few minutes. We're going to do NADA show, education and networking. We're also going to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. Oh boy. Commercial EVs, EV delays, and then at the quarter hour, I've got a feature interview with Steve Roessler of DriveCentric, and then we're going to grow our NADA show buzz panel with Tim Scoutelas of Max Digital, Nick Johnson, Penn's Automotive. It's going to be a great show, so you're going to want to stick around for all of that. I say here, let's do this. Let's go right into it. Oh, wow. That's what the fastest intro, I think, yet. But we're going to need that time, I'm pretty sure. So here it is, show 327 in a row on a Tuesday night. Let's see, let's go ahead and we got the digital bell. We still have that. We're featuring Steve Roessler, DriveCentric CRM. If you're not familiar with Steve, he is really into social media engagement. The Live with Drive guy, his own hashtag. He is everywhere, and they've got an amazing facility in St. Louis. They do a lot of dealer training and events, and he's a heck of a character. We're lucky to have Steve live on the show with us tonight. In fact, he got airtime at the Nashville Big Bash the other night. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but that's Steve Roessler. If you want to learn more about DriveCentric, and you're going to learn more tonight, the AI solution powering the automotive industry. Hey, what's going on? Car Hauling with Chip is here, and Rod Hamill, and Kimberly's in the live chat. Awesome. So please say hello in the live chat. Happy New Year to everybody. We also have Tim Scoutelas with Max Digital. And we're going to learn more about Max Digital showroom, inventory, dealer management, and Penn's Automotive. Nick Johnson is here with us because this is, if you are looking to learn more about how to talk to dealers, CC Transport, Chris Chamberlain, what's going on, you guys? You want to do business with dealers, and NADA show is in a month. So we are going to focus on the dealer vertical a lot this month in January. I think January has become dealer vertical month, if not other months in the year. But for sure, we want to continue talking about the dealer vertical. You know, I talk about the ecosystem, new cars, used cars, automakers, auctions, brokers, carriers, dispatchers, equipment regulations, etc. We do all of it here. We are the ecosystem's neutral zone. Mic check 1 2 3. We're okay? All right, cool. Because we're square in the middle of all of it, and we talk about all of it. And we want you to, you can raise your hand and ask a question. If you want to learn more about Travis and Dealerslink, that was last Tuesday night. I've had a lot of YouTube shorts coming out. In fact, this one, I dropped this one today. Which big auto transport broker gets acquired this year? And what's interesting, I'm glad I didn't say the broker that I think. There's two things to say. What broker's going to get acquired and what broker's going to acquire them, right? And I'm not saying the names that I think. I think there are different names out there, but already somebody has emailed me, hey, can you tell me who you're talking about? Because in sales, at 10% commission, money is pretty tight. Working entry-level pay is killing us. And I tell you, I thank you. Thank you for sending me that email. These are important topics, and people are listening. And that is awesome. Because we are following the disconnect between sales and operations, and that's real. That's where the rubber meets the road, and that's what we do. So I had the Christmas show the other night, and as I said, it wasn't a Christmas party. It was more of Jay alone in a warehouse at a podium talking about the ecosystem. Because this is what changed. Change is, man, it's a rocky ride. And we go through change here. We embrace it. We adapt. We have to. That's what life is all about. And every time you make a hard turn, a couple people fall out of the bus, I guess. So, anyways, that was an interesting show. Also, if you missed Retailing Fresh Inventory with Gail Rubenstein, she was on. That was a really interesting show. And that was a lot of information about Central Bot, Central Dispatch. Boy, there's more of that coming around. Let's go into some news now. Let's do this. Really, Jay? You haven't even started the news? Okay, so top story last week. Let's get that digital belt. Top story last week was the Cox Automotive report. Come down from favorable market, making dealers pessimistic. And I honed in on that word pessimism. And if you recall, I was a touch giddy. Because I appreciate, that any amplitude, wavelength, whatever, has ups and downs. But we seem to have so many ups, it's hard to see the downs. And it's interesting because now we're back out of the down all of a sudden. U.S. auto sales expected to finish up more than 11% year over year. Boy, that was a quick down. Which, there's something to that. Anyways, let's keep going. NADA show 2024, it's in a month, and what you want to do is go to the website. Go to nadashow.com, is it? Really, Jay, you don't even know? I've Googled it enough times. Here, I'll grab the link. Oh, it's nada.org/NADA show. There you go. Link is in the live chat. Go ahead and you can click on that and follow along at home. What you want to do is click Learn. And you'll see different education types. They have a lot of workshops and super sessions. And man, I mean, it is amazing how big this show is. Sessions and session tracks and type of sessions. Your first year, you can't even grasp it all. You just want to hang on to. It's like a whitewater ride, and here comes a 50-foot wave. There is so much. That's not even all the sessions the first day, by the way. So dive in and learn. Then you want to click on the expo. Click on the expo, and if you go click on the exhibitors. Now this is Friday, February 2nd, 10 to 6. Saturday, working hours. Sunday, ends at 2:30. 3 full days, man. It is enough. You'll be tired if you spend the whole day walking the expo hall. And it's so you click on the exhibitor list and the floor plan, and this is it's all packed in 2 halls. I think the West Hall's the main area. Oh my gosh, and you can see. Look, you got the automakers. You got Ford, GM, Toyota, CDK Global, Reynolds and Reynolds, Stellantis. Those are just the ones you can read. Massive booths. It's like Matt's, except instead of truckers, everybody sells cars and is on the phone all day, and it's something else to see. So you got to go check it out. And what I want you to do is stick around to this show tonight and learn what to do at the show. Now I realize if you didn't book your room already and all that stuff, you're probably not going this year, but maybe next year you'll see the world's tallest spinning display. Maybe. Let's talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. We're going to take a look back on 2023 automakers, car dealers, EV stakeholders. I know, I really don't really want to read this, but I'm going to because we're going to keep seeing this. IRA, Inflation Reduction Act. You're hearing about it. You probably have already heard about it in the primaries, or you're going to, or whatever. All right, roughly $370 billion in energy and climate spending, including Inflation Reduction Act, I know, right? Including lucrative tax credits to ramp up U.S. battery production, as well as consumer incentives to drive EV adoption. I know. You had in January EV tax credits. What they did is they took away the 200,000 vehicle per automaker sales cap. That brought Tesla and GM back in. Let's see, new restrictions on sticker price buying income take effect under the Section 30D credit. That's going to pop up again later in a pop quiz. The American Vehicle Security Act would amend the Inflation Reduction Act 30D tax credit. Told you. Effective date of the required battery sourcing no longer tied to the Treasury's release of proposed guidance on the restrictions. I know. Bedtime story stuff. Treasury modifies classifying vehicles, price caps, 30D tax credit, which limits sticker price no more than $80,000 for new pickups, SUVs, vans. And we're going to ask the panel later. They're the ones taking the pop quiz. We'll check in with Tim and Nick and see what they can tell us about the 30D tax credit. Let's see. Oh, and there's a portal. In September, they said the Treasury says participating dealers will be able to register via an online IRS portal. Oh, boy. Dealers can expect to be reimbursed for transferred credits within 72 hours of submitting advance payment. Treasury Energy Departments issue vital guidance for automakers on how to strictly they will enforce the 30D tax credit. Foreign entity of concern, which blocks tax credits for EVs that contain battery materials from foreign adversaries such as China. Oh boy, China enters the picture. In fact, I'm sure this will be in the primaries. This was in today's news on Automotive News. Electric car models eligible for 7,500 tax credit cut to 13 models. New rules exclude from the tax credit vehicles that use battery components made by Chinese manufacturers. How about commercial vehicle makers dive into EVs? Environmental regs and large purchase incentives fuel the market for EV vans and trucks. Increasingly stringent state and federal environmental regs combined with corporate sustainability goals. I know. It's hard. It is hard. Jay, I just want to move some vehicles. I don't really want to know all this stuff. I know. Get the podcast. Have created a rapidly developed market for zero-emission CMVs, including everything from delivery vans to work trucks to big rigs, right? How's your range anxiety? There's got to be a drug for that. The market is fueled by government-backed incentives, including those of the Inflation Reduction Act. They range from $7,500 for class vehicles, and I know they get in different weights. I'm not going to read all the minutia, but here's a look at some product plans. Battle Motors. I have not heard of Battle Motors. So here's a news flash. Battle Motors, the new Philadelphia, Ohio company, launched production of the EV City Tractor, an electric platform that can work with Class 6, 7, and 8 trucks, tailored for urban delivery and logistics. Somebody's going to be driving an EV Battle Motors EV platform with a range of 100 to 200 miles, depending on configurations, and gross vehicle weight rating 50,000 pounds. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess that's why it's 100 to 200 miles. That's pretty interesting. Bollinger, powered by lithium iron phosphate batteries, with a cab sourced from Chinese manufacturer. What, you didn't get the memo? See how it comes around. It didn't take long. BrightDrop, GM brand, Zevo 600 electric last mile delivery van, which made me think of, you're seeing a lot of the Rivians. So, how many more entrants are there? And, man, how complicated is this? And can you start it in the cold? I don't know. Let's see. EV tax credit. 30D. Man, everyone's gonna have flying colors on this quiz. Hey, news. I saw this. Okay, this is news. Customers want more car loan information online. Okay, is this an ad? Because I thought we already all knew that. Car shoppers want to know their exact payment and trade-in values before visiting a dealer. Yeah, I know. Like, there's ads about it. You make the deal you want. At drive time, you make the deal yourself, and you can customize, and I'm sliding on the price, right? Is this news? You make the deal yourself. We already knew. I don't know. I already, where's the, I don't have the applause button anymore on that. You make the deal yourself. Let's see. I think this is kind of our final story. EVs contribute to delayed vehicle launches. 34% of all vehicle launches, a third of all vehicle launches experienced production delays last year. Wow. Wow, that's great. In November, Tesla finally released the Cybertruck. That was supposed to come out in 2021. In October, GM announced it would delay the launch of Equinox, Silverado, and Denali. In July, Volvo delayed production of the new EV crossover EX90. A delay of 12 months can cost an automaker up to $200 million. Oh my gosh. Tell that to Sean Fain. On personnel, prototypes, logistics, that same delay then can cost and that trickles down to the supplier. In November, Ford projected it would lose $4.5 billion on EVs. Holy mackerel, this is crazy. These are crazy numbers. Oh, by the way, investigators rule a massive fire at a car auction in Denton County. This was over the Christmas holiday. It is an accident, and authorities say it was started, in the battery area of one car. And it went to 57 other vehicles. See, I'm sorry about that. Boy, EVs, man, just crushing it in the news. That's great. Leverage ATI in your business. I don't ship cars. We move information, and it is now time. You know what time it is. It's time to get your ELD punch. Get ready, because Steve Roessler's up next with Drive Centric. Stick around. We're going to be right back.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verifications of loads where nobody ever answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021, or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
Transport Auto Quoter is by far the leading auto quoting software on the market, and the only auto quoter with a pro version that comes preset with accurate pricing for anywhere in the U.S. So you don't have to worry about it. The best part is that no change with your current software is needed. Just plug TAQ in and start booking jobs. Carriers can easily plug TAQ into their current websites and start making money right away. I bet you're wondering how we do this instantly and accurately 24/7. Well, constant analytics is the key. Our Price Watch team is constantly monitoring current market conditions, paying close attention to seasonal and quick-moving industry changes. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and data to maintain good pricing, time that most of us just don't have on a daily basis. So free yourself up. Using TAQ Pro is really a no-brainer. Save time and money, maximizing your leads and optimizing your online investments. You'll finally be able to sleep well at night knowing that TAQ is on the job selling for you 24/7. Never missing a potential job.
Don't lose any more sleep worrying about missing leads. Get Transport Auto Quoter to quote the right price the first time, anytime. Run your business with TAQ. Visit transportautoquoter.com. By the way, thank you so much. What's going on? Oh, wait, here we go. Whoa. Mark Rodeke is making martinis in the super chat. Okay, here we go. It is now time. Please do help me wish a very warm welcome to our guest, the one and only Steve Roessler of Drive Centric. Dude.
What's up, bro?
How you doing, man?
Just hanging out, man. What is it? See, the new year screwed me up. Is it Tuesday, Wednesday? I don't even know what day.
Actually, it's very strange because it is only the 2nd, but it feels like maybe it's already like the 7th or the 8th.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what. I think it's the transfer portal on the Dr. Pepper Fansville ad. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
Did you watch any football? I watched a lot of football this week.
I was out of town quite a bit, but I was going to Kentucky. Then it was just nuts. So I didn't get to watch any football on Sunday. But now I'll have to watch the Dr. Pepper commercial.
Oh, dude, Fansville. I'm a huge fan. And so you ended up on the Nashville Big Bash?
Yeah.
What's up with
Yeah.
that? Tell me more.
So yeah, just dude, how funny is this? So, we moved to Nashville. We're looking for things to do. And my wife found this thing, Audience 615. I guess I shouldn't really tell everybody, but I'll tell you it's a different area code. But anyway, but you get free tickets and you go in and you're seat fillers for stuff. So we got to go to one of the New Year's Eve parties and for free instead of paying like $150 a ticket. And we were up there with Old Dominion right there by the stage and filling seats, got on TV. It was a blast, man. I mean, I just like, this is pretty cool.
That's actually, I had no idea because, so when I was in LA, I mean, they're constantly giving out tickets for stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that. Yeah, because they need seat fillers, right? The whole front area, it's all extras.
Well, there's people that paid, but
Right,
a lot of people that
okay,
didn't pay because there were like 6 venues going on. So it was the wildest thing. But anyway, but yeah, we got to meet a whole bunch of people. Like we're filling in. Alabama is having a 50-year, I guess, party, and they're doing it in downtown Nashville. So we applied for that. So you never know. Maybe we'll be on TV for that one.
Okay, and your daughter is a rock star,
Oh, thank you.
right?
She
Okay,
is.
let's do that. No, really. Yeah, and actually, I listened to the beginning of I don't know what's her single right now. What's going
Well,
on?
there's 2 of them. She has Simulation, and then she has what's the other one? The first one
Right, she's
Forget
gonna
I
kill you.
Exist.
Is it Jenna
Jenna
Roessler?
Roessler. Yeah, please, everybody follow her. Don't follow me. Follow her.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. Okay, so that brings us back to you then. All right, so what's the deal? You speak a lot, you're very visible. What's going on? What are your main messages?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I had a message for 2023, which, you'll probably appreciate this, Jay, because I never even told you this. But my message doing all these podcasts and things like that was in 2023, coming, into January, I was saying the Jedi Knight salespeople are, going to come out and the Jabba the Hutts will be exposed. So when it comes to like car sales, because just the gravy train is over with. Now everybody's got to work and they got to sell cars. Everybody's not making the money they were. This year, my mission with our company, we're going out there teaching more conversational commerce sales versus transactional commerce sales. And in this digital world, and everybody's wanting to buy stuff remotely, and the conversations are happening more in what we call the digital showroom. They're texting or emailing, trying to get out there and educate people on how to create good conversations digitally, if that makes sense.
Well, it does. And so it's actually, I love it when you say the gravy train is over. Then it really must be, I mean, you are in touch, right? I mean, this is your wheelhouse.
Yeah, well, I mean, we get to hear, I call on dealerships all across the country, and, it's hard. I mean, everybody's just had it so nice for, 3-4 years, and now people are having to rework, and salaries are going down, and things of that nature. Floor plans, I just learned a little bit about floor plans are going to make an impact this year. Still trying to learn a little bit about that, getting more on that business side with the dealers. But at the end of the day, people are going to buy cars from who they like, period, end of story. And we have to build relationships. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is go back and start educating people on how to build relationships. But it all starts digitally, just kind of like, you're dating somebody on Bumble or something. You can't go out there and say, hey, would you like to go out for a drink as your first line? It won't work.
So all right, good. I'm glad we're talking about this. One is, I want to go back to, I want to talk about relationships. I don't want to miss that one, but I want to talk about, okay, can you give me like 3 details that point to, we had a gravy train, and then 3 details that point to, we don't have a gravy train? Are there specifics that signal that truth?
Well, I think this day and age with it, now inventory is coming back, so there's a flood of inventory, right? I can go buy a car from wherever. inventory was always, just scarce, right? I think that's the major part. Inventory is coming back. So that's what everybody's got to work for. I mean, I used to see where, customers would be, typing in, hey, I'm very interested in that car. The salesperson would reply back, sorry, it's been sold. They don't try to put them on another car. So now we can go out there and we can, let's say, talk to the customer about, hey, look, yeah, that car is here. We also have other cars that don't fit your needs. So you can go down. That's inventory was so bad that it was just so easy. Close your eyes and make a step.
Okay, there we go. Right, yeah. The dartboard was you could close your eyes, hit a bullseye, not a problem. All right. Well, now relationships. Relationships, it gets said so much that now I'm going to be a stickler. And I sat in on a session where you pointed out how you need to follow through and communicate. That just because someone's interested doesn't mean they're ready to buy. You need to continue the conversation, say the right things. What does that look like?
Well, today's a great example, right? I mean, like, look, I'm calling on dealers, right? So do you think I'm going out there saying, hey, when are you ready to buy a CRM? Hell no. My communication is, hey, Happy New Year's. How was your New Year's? I'm not doing anything with business. I'm just building a relationship. Or, hey, did you do anything exciting for New Year's? Happy holidays. How was your family? Did you do anything good with your family? I'm just like, nothing with business, make it relationship. Hey, did you go anywhere exciting on New Year's? And that stirs up a conversation to evolve it into a business conversation.
And you can't stay in the weather report too long, though, right? Otherwise, they're going to be like, man, do you mind selling me something today? Right.
Well, that's the gotta be good in the sales.
Well, that's the dance of sales, right? Yeah, that's the savvy of sales.
Yeah, but the idea though is it all starts with engagement. So if you ask a question that's non-business oriented, you're more than likely going to get a higher level of engagement than you would if you said, "Hey, are you still interested in that car?" I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. Like, hey, it's New Year's. You just had New Year's go on. There's always something going on in the world you can ask about. Super Bowl will be coming up, or, depending upon what area in the market, if, you're following Baltimore or, any of these football teams, you could relate football into that conversation.
Wait a minute. You could have a whole dealer channel about positive topics to talk to potential customers about, rather than some of those landmine topics that I'm not.
It's not. But you got to start off and be warm to get a conversation flowing, and that's why it's so easy. If you go out there and think about one of my presentations, I talk about is, are you dating your internet leads? Because that conversation, if you're going out there starting a conversation, like you just want, you're on Bumble, you swipe left, swipe right. I've been married to everybody for 21 something years. So, I've been out of the game. But if I was going on Bumble trying to match with somebody and I just said, hey, do you want to meet up for a drink? I don't think I'd get engagement back.
Do you think that, okay.
Could be wrong.
Okay. So is it your experience then that are there a lot of people that are still kind of making major mistakes in the car selling, dating process?
Yes. I think it's too transactional. That's what I mean. There's a difference of saying, like, here, I'll give you a really good example, Jay. If I said, are there military rebates at your dealership? How would you respond to that?
Well, this is what you did at the show. You answer. You put me on the spot. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Transactional sales would say, yes, we have military discounts. Conversational commerce would be like, hey, Jay, thank you for your military service. Which branch were you in? Of course, we have military discounts. You know what I mean? You're thanking the customer just opened up.
The first was transactional. The second was
conversational.
So this is one of your principles.
Of course.
Chapter 1. Transactional versus conversational.
Yeah, when the customer is talking to you digitally, you have to read in between the lines. You know, if a customer said something like let's say they're buying a truck and they're saying, "Hey, I'm curious how much will it tow," for example. You know, that'd be a great door to say, "Hey, look, are you towing a trailer? What do you guys towing? I'm just curious. What are you looking to tow?" And you just create a conversation because
Right. Rather than, well, that'll be $37.50 per mile.
whatever. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it's but that's what's
I
so
see what
fun
you're saying.
about sales. Sales is an art, and unfortunately, it's getting to be a lost art because everybody's so quick to the sale. Everybody forgets about that relationship part. And I always say, if you kind of think about what relationship is, and it's really learning one thing about the customer, and you focus on that 99% of the time, and you'll win. That's sales.
I remember. Okay, so yeah, I think you were talking about like what you find out some of their you got a potential customer and you find out well, I think what did you say? You look at their Facebook page and see what they're
Yeah.
into,
Look at their
right?
Facebook, look at their LinkedIn. You know, back whatever it was 10 years ago, I was in the medical industry. And when I was interviewing people coming in to work for me, you know, if they didn't research me on LinkedIn and know anything about me, I wouldn't hire them. I mean, just think that was almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
10 years ago. So if I go out there and stalk you on Facebook, you know, the thing is I'm not stalking you. I'm just learning about you. You know, what kind of guy or gal am I dealing with? You know, and if they're into football, if they're into hockey, if they're into farming, fishing, you name it, I could figure out something and learn about you to create that conversation.
All right, so can you let's say you have a random okay, you don't get the time. Somebody randomly pops up, you're working in the BDC, you get an online lead, somebody's looking for I don't know what they're looking for. Right? They're looking for a charger, okay? They got to have a gold charger now. All
Well,
right?
sure.
And that's all you know. And they don't want to give up information. How do you turn that into conversational versus transactional?
Oh, I'd say, well, if it was today, I'd say, hey, Jay, Happy New Year. I see you're interested in a gold charger. If this is going to be happening digitally, I'd say, man, that's
Yeah,
a great
definitely
call.
digitally. Yeah, yeah.
I would love to learn a little bit more about your needs. Do you have a second jump on the phone so I could ask you some more questions? I need more information about the vehicle you're looking for.
All right, no gold charger.
Gold charger.
Right.
Okay. Well, okay. So then, no gold charger. Okay. I will try to find you what I can, but I don't know if I have anything in gold. But let me take a look. I probably have other chargers, or I may have to locate one. Just give me some time.
Okay, and now maybe I loosen up and say something like, "Well, is the charger good?"
Oh, well, then I can say, well, let me send you a video on the charger. And I would send you a video on the charger if I had that right there. And then I would show the personality. The trick is, like, number one, I'd be talking to you. I would also try to incorporate video. So you're also now I'm a human to you. So that's the thing. You got to always think about, where do I send a video? If somebody's not going to send me any information, I would try to get my face in front of you and I would send you a video. And I would probably send you a video just kind of saying, hey, Jay, hey, look, Steve Roessler here. I know you're interested in the gold charger. Love to connect up with you and learn a little bit more about that. Not going to take a lot of your time. I just have some questions for you.
See, and what's interesting, I mean, you're so good. I start to trust you immediately. Now I'm ready. Okay, you send me that video. Maybe now I'll do a phone call, right? I'm still going to do a voice changer and everything else because this is 2024. But sure, right?
Yeah, I'm interested in this car. No, yeah, I mean, yeah,
Exactly,
voice
that's it.
changer, you know.
Yeah, dude.
But look, everybody wants to deal with a human. I think what we take for granted in the car industry is it's so much human interaction. And if you call up your insurance company, call up your cable company, call up your electric company, you're going to talk to, like, you're going to sit on hold, and people forget about that. I think in the auto industry, people have to realize, and I told dealers about doing this actually the last quarter. I said, go in your conference room and just call a company and see what that human interaction is like. and I'm guaranteeing it's going to be bad. So it's a huge advantage because if I call the car dealership, I'm going to talk to a body, or if I'm that should be a warm thing. People forget about that and we take that for granted.
Well, and I think that's why there is so much. I mean, things are. I'm assuming, but I have a couple boys and they're on their phone, and even if you order pizza now, you pretty much do it online. You don't talk to anybody,
Right.
and that has a social effect to now where bus drivers like, hey, are you getting on? You're like, oh my god, do I talk? And so that's where we're headed, and so turning the digital transaction into somewhat of a human conversation, you're saying that is key to solidifying the sale.
100%. I mean, look, nobody picks up the phone. Email is kind of dead. If you don't believe me, send an email to everybody. Tell them you're having a Super Bowl party, and you'll
tell me about it. I know my emails are going nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, so you have to think like with texting or obviously phone calls. You have to I think the thing that we have to teach everybody is that texting is the number one form of communication. We have to text and earn the right, schedule like what I call a mini appointment for a phone call. Like we did all this through text, Jay.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
I did. I texted you, and what's interesting is that I said my emails are going nowhere. Here's what I've noticed. If I want to communicate, I need to text.
Yeah.
I can still send an email with like show information and things like that. So I think we're more accustomed to an email being just business stuff we can get whenever.
Well,
but if we need to communicate, email's not really the way.
Email,
You'll
in
be
my
waiting
opinion, this is the way I describe email. Number one, email is a nocturnal activity. You'll love that one. You can use that one, Jay. It's so if it's like 2 a.m. What's that?
I can use it.
You can. I've said it's actually NADA actually put it in their education school. Of all quotes they have Steve Roessler says email is a nocturnal activity.
That is awesome. That's what I'm talking about, dude. You have this effect. Your style of communication, your knowledge, it's infectious. It's amazing. So hey, do me a favor. You'll stick around for the panel?
Yeah, I'll stick around.
All right. Do me a favor, hang on. We'll be right back after this. We got Tim Scoutelas and Nick Johnson, so stick around. We'll be right back.
AuctionVCommerce is the universal support solution to help brick-and-mortar auctions respond to the needs of digital buyers and sellers with greater efficiency, accountability, and more access. AuctionVCommerce is a bridge between the dealers of the past and the auction of the future.
Yeah, so let's be honest with it. Everybody, as an operator, like myself, we're always looking to save expense, okay? And so if I can get a product that is just as efficient as another product and yet save a ton of money, that's what I'm going to do. And so I think the value proposition that Dealerslink offers is unmatched, right? For what we spend on Dealerslink, for what we get from Dealerslink, full spectrum, the marketplace's support, the OEM data, the Fastbook tool, the mobile applications that you have, the value proposition is huge. And I definitely would recommend, I have recommended, we are continuing to install it into our stores as we speak.
Request a live demo at dealerslink.com now.
Manage your inventory operations all in one place with smarter wholesale, cutting-edge recon, market-driven strategies, and automated advertising. Visit dealerslink.com. All right, links are in the live chat. Here we go. We have Tim Scoutelas. He is Director of Major Accounts at Max Digital. Nick Johnson, Director of Operation at Penn's Automotive. They're with us now in the panel here on NADA Show, Buzz on ATI. Tim and Nick, can you see us and hear us?
Yeah, hey, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. What's
live from Rochester, Minnesota.
Wow, live from Rochester,
Get
Minnesota. Awesome. Let's do this. Tim, it's been a while. Say hello again, and then we'll introduce Nick.
Yeah, hey, so Tim Scoutelas here, Director of Major Accounts with soon to be, we'll be releasing this ACV Max. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. I've been with Max for about 13 years now. I cut my teeth in the car business back in the late 90s, selling cars for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Then I went to work for a small startup out of Richmond, Virginia called CarMax. I spent about 10 years at CarMax, got scooped up by the Penske Automotive Group, where I became a customer of what was then First Look and Max. And now I run a team of 8 or 9 folks coast to coast, where we support Max Digital, with some of the largest dealership groups in the country.
Wow.
Great to be here.
That is awesome, man. Happy New Year. That's a great
I got a golf clap from Steve. I appreciate
fast.
that,
That's
Steve.
a fast, deep history.
It's my elevator pitch. I'm getting ready for NADA. Hey, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, no, that is a perfect elevator pitch of a history and background. Nick, please say hello. First time on ATI.
Yes, first time. Out of here at Rochester, Minnesota today. Back in 2001, I started with a small group you might have heard of, Saturn Automotive, out of the Wisconsin, I think we were Bergstrom Group at that time. Came on to the Saturn St. Paul Group, and then eventually was with Luther Automotive since 2005. Finished with being the pre-owned operations director for Luther Automotive for the last 8-9 years, and then came on as operations director for a small growing dealer group in Rochester, Minnesota, looking to grow a secondary market. So a little bit different change of pace, a little bit different approach of my day operations, but good people nonetheless that need some direction. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much, Nick. Appreciate it. All right, I've been talking and talking. I'm gonna try and get in the back seat. Let you guys drive this NADA show buzz bus. NADA show is in a month. What's such a big deal about it? Why is this such a big deal?
Man, who do you everybody goes?
Listen, it'll be a I feel like I say this every year, but it'll be a pretty big show this year. I think last year was big. This year I think will be bigger. Dealers, and Nick can back me up or argue, but I think dealers will be looking to technology to help. I was listening to the conversation you and Steve were having. Phenomenal conversation. There's a lot of Jabba the Hutts out there, and you can go and try. I call them Babe Ruths and spring training players, but you can go and try and hire a bunch of Babe Ruths, but it ain't happening. So I think dealers are going to be looking at technology to help solve some of those gaps. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some consolidations as well as looking for some secret sauce, right? So depending upon the size of your dealer group, you might have different needs today than you had before. You could have the vehicle misrepresented online without the right trim, without the right features, probably not even priced right, and still find yourself selling the car or wholesaling it for more than you bought it. That is not the case anymore. That migration of customers that went from new to used because the new volume wasn't there, availability. Now you're gonna have to see some of that reverse migration from used to new, because why buy used when new's cheaper in certain segments or certain makes and models, right? So you have to start looking at where should you be spending your time and money and how you want to make it conversational, right, Steve? In your interaction with your customers. But also, like, I'm looking just in the smaller dealer group wise, like here, floor plan expense. Yes, I think Jay, you were mentioning about floor plan. You got to learn about that high interest rates when you start having new cars on the ground. You start having used cars on the ground not traveling as fast. And your average prices was 46% higher than before in used. That's a real thing when you start having floor plan expense going against your cost. And you have to start, how do I lower my average investment and how do I lower my costs, and start looking at your third-party listings and any other resource you're using. There's going to be more scrutiny going into expense control, I think, this year. So make sure you have the right tool and training and people, but also expense. I think this is going to be a big deal for NADA.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing, Nick. Just, I mean, I'm glad you kind of heard that because I was trying to learn a little bit more on the floor plan. And you may want to even kind of get more granular if you don't mind to understand, like, because there's a lot of people that don't understand that part of it,
Sure.
and understanding the business from a dealer's perspective.
Yeah, well, here, I'll paint a picture for you. So, say you have new car supply, say like a Subaru dealer where you've had maybe 7 or 8 days supply of new cars,
Yep.
and all of a sudden they say, hey, we're going to produce 30, 40% more Outbacks and Foresters, and you finally start getting 20, 30 of these units on the ground, and they are $40,000. Well, you're paying anywhere between that 6, 7, 8% because prime's gone up, and you're getting marked up on that. Used cars, your average investment at one point might have been 16, 17 grand. And now you've been getting comfortable selling late model against new. So your average investment might be 25 grand. Well, if they start sitting 60 days, get controlments, you get some fees, and that interest that's 8, 9%, depending on what your floor plan is, that can add up quite a bit, right? So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
that, keeping it tight, keeping it turned, lower your average investment, but also your analyzed return, because not everyone is about gross to net, but also like net to sales. So the higher dollar sales, you have to have a higher net to that sales percentage as well. Anyways, does that help at all?
Yeah,
You know,
it paints a picture for sure.
well, and you just made me think. It seems like in automotive, dealer inventory has extra costs that not all products have. Many businesses, you acquire inventory, you've got a certain margin there. You don't have all this interest and time to consider. Whereas, Nick, hearing you talk about when you're considering your floor planning, you really have to think about how long is it going to take to turn this inventory around. That's what we're talking, right? The time. And you don't
Absolutely.
have that same problem with many other types of inventory.
It becomes
I don't think so.
a learning curve for me this year. It also has been cash flow economics, right? Coming from a larger group and low interest rates, you could buy cars from all across the country. And if it takes a week or a week and a half to get there, so be it. Smaller group, higher expense structure. You need to turn that inventory and that money sooner and replace it with something better to improve your overall performance. So that time to your lot, not just through the recon, but actually to the lot, is real time, real cost of money.
And I wasn't trying to do this, but we just got back to logistics and why it's so important to the dealer to know where the cars are. I didn't even think it, Nick.
Oh, the deal. If you're a transporter, I guarantee you that you're getting heat to get the cars back to the lot. For these small independents,
Oh, yeah.
medium-sized groups that are floor planning, they need to turn the inventory. They need to keep it going. They do not want to get taxed. Just figure it this way. I think the NADA average cost to hold a piece of inventory today is about $50 a day. And,
That's gone up.
right. And,
Yeah.
and just, there's more inventory that's turning slower. So you're holding on to more inventory at a higher cost for longer. Steve, that's where the cost comes in. It's expensive.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting to hear more on that. And I guess the OEMs used to really help out, right, Nick, on that, and now they're not.
Yeah, so you'd have floor plan credits built inside your invoice, and there still is. It's not to the same extent as it once was, and then it's less lucrative when you have higher interest in a floor plan. But overall, actually, go back to you, Tim. You got more to add on that?
No, I just, it's something that Steve hit on it a good point. For the longest time, and I say I'm going to go on 3 years. For the last 3 years, we haven't had to worry about floor plan expense as a cost. I'm a vendor, just like you are, Steve, right?
Mhm.
And like when stuff gets expensive at the dealership, they start looking in corners where it's like, all right, shining a light. Floor plan expense is one of those things that they have to have the inventory. Do I have to have that shiny new piece of software? I don't know. Is there a competitor? So when I hear floor plan expense goes up, I bet you that maybe where it started with you too. It's like, hey, I'm going up against an item on on the P&L that I never really thought I would have to compete against. I
Right.
don't know if that's true or not.
When you start looking at statements into this year, you're going to see significant changes on new car profitability, also in that one line, that floor plan, especially for some of the slower OEMs like CDGRs, and or potentially even Nissan as they start creeping up. One thing I think you should bring up just going into NADA is that about a year ago, the big rave was street purchasing and buying all these cars when the markets are still going up and how easy it was, and you got to focus on it. And knowing that markets would correct, how many of those that jumped in at the end have already given up because of prices coming down, depreciations, and values going down makes it harder to buy. You still got to have a strong presence in that space. And I think Tim can probably even talk more about with all his major groups that are focusing on it. But with the late model products becoming available new, and rental companies are getting filled up with new, that's going to continue to push down those used car values further and further to where people are going to be upside down and not easily be able to buy them out, street purchases they may have once had.
Yeah, I've been coming on now, Jay, what is this? It's probably been 3 years I've been coming on your show.
I was thinking about recently is that, so we first met, was it like 2020?
Yeah, just before
on maybe one of Ryan's shows,
before the
right?
pandemic. Yeah,
right. And I mean, really, it's been a while. And it's what's interesting is that, yeah, some of the parameters have really changed since we first started talking. We've been talking about melting block of ice, as many people do, but man, the cost has really gone up. That thing's melting faster than ever.
Correct. Right.
That's
turning to water fast, right?
And what I wanted to mention was one of the other things that's changed is the digital auto auction. So many digital auctions now, so many flavors. But what we're getting to is instead of getting 9 at a time, you're buying one around the country. That is going to affect the way your ice melts.
Yeah, it's I think the dealers were really working hard to find the right inventory over the last 2 to 3 years. So I think as inventory comes back, so we'll see close to 15 million new cars this year, which is great. Maybe 16 million and a half next year. As we see more and more new cars, the used cars will start to come up. And I think that behavior will change. You'll be able to buy more cars closer. We might even start to see that in late 2024. But
I even saw the 0% interest rates for a lot of vehicles, and I'm sure it's going to help out quite a bit. And maybe acquiring vehicles won't be as huge. I mean, I know everybody's going to want to do it still, but I don't. Nick, are you seeing that quite a bit?
Well, with the incentives increasing, you've got this lingering effect, especially going into the actual seasonal change. If vehicles out there priced for asking price and listed price, but not necessarily at the selling price, because these cars aren't necessarily traveling at the right pace, because that you have to get that value prop equilibrium, right? At some point, when new starts coming down in their prices and their incentives, used has to follow. So that service loaner, then that CPO, then that used car without warranty, right behind. Those value propositions eventually have to balance out and have an equilibrium to where why buy one, that value equals price has to start to balance out. So you're having this lingering pieces like, oh, I got inventory, it's not quite traveling. I'm still up here with asking price, listing price, but it's not selling. Oh, now I got to get serious and get rid of it. Where's the bottom? I don't know where it's actually selling it yet. You just got to make sure you don't get caught on replacing fresh inventory based off of where you have cars priced that aren't selling. So you used to have that every year going into late fall, winter. We have it now, and I think it's going to linger out a little bit longer as more and more incentives come. We've got to still find out where the cars are going to sell at and replace on the way down all the way through. Because there's still more bottom to come to get from this 46% increase in used car values down to somewhere where it's going to balance out based on supply and demand of new.
Hey Steve, I have a question.
Or good. I'm sorry.
I have a question for you, Steve. Are you hearing dealers asking harder questions to you and your team when it comes to knowing more about their customers and the cars that they're looking for?
What actually the conversation we're having, very proactive. I mean, we're teaching about technology. So the way we go about, representing Drive Centric is how, the dealerships are trying to figure out how to do more with less. I mean, I think that coming out of COVID, you go out there and see how many cars a salesperson was selling. So I always look at these Jabba the Hutts, let's just say, and you kind of use Babe Ruth. We have an artificial intelligence built in to Drive. So it's helping create a huge chunk of engagement. And so what we're teaching our stores is how to get out of these business rule formats where I got to chase a customer for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. If we know that 70% of the customers are buying a car in 4 days and then 82% going out to 10 days total, that's where you focus your people's time and energy. So I don't have to have a huge staff like I did. And so a lot of our stores, the way we go out there and approach it, we're not making a CRM change. It's an operational change. So it's an operational cost benefit to leverage the technology. That's what we're going to be teaching at NADA. And we have a lot of dealers going out there that, people don't have to reinvent the wheel, but they can talk about their pay plans, how many leads can one person handle now? But they're also getting away from all these business rules that are just like 100 phone calls, 50 emails a day to do what?
Doesn't your metrics change then when you're focusing on customers that are truly engaging here and now? The metrics of what you can handle really starts to vary versus having to do all those extra layers of extra phone calls, extra emails to people that aren't in market, right?
Correct.
So I'll do more with less of, but focusing on the here and now, right?
Exactly. I think if the dealers focus their energy and talking to the customer where the customer is ripe and buying, that's where they focus. I think the dealers just, they want to still go out there and chase that 5% market, but really if they focused on where the meat and potatoes were, they would actually sell more cars. But in a lot of our stores get rid of templates, for example, they just talk to the customer because they're leveraging AI. But let AI go after and chase. Actually, we just did a study. You guys will get a kick out of this. We did a study when dealers and salespeople, BDC, they're no longer following up with these customers. The AI will reach out and get 20% engagement, which equals a 4.1 delivery rate. So these are deals for you, Nick, where your salespeople aren't touching these customers. Technology is getting that re-engagement and your people are closing at 4.1%.
Yep.
That's we need to celebrate.
So as we walk into NADA, that was one thing that walking into this year that we went ahead and invested in is one of our AIs. It's not necessarily for the media people today, even though the engagement, it starts, it hands it right over to our staff, but it's that long term. And once they start engaging, it makes that soft TO over to your sales manager or the salesperson based on what the question or line of questioning is. So yeah, I'm excited about that transition.
Yeah, it's all training. It's about working with like AI. And that's what people typically want to fight, the technology, and they don't adjust their workflow accordingly. And so it winds up interrupting. And it's kind of like, I give the example, you guys will probably love this. I always give the example of a Roomba. I don't know if any of you have a Roomba, but I guarantee if you had a Roomba, you don't sweep, you mop, unless you're OCD and you're going to spot sweep, right? But the idea is if you know the Roomba, meaning AI is texting and emailing, then you have your people do like personalized video, or you do phone calls, or you start what I call quarterbacking the conversation for the AI. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot in 2024. AI is getting a lot of the engagement. You get rid of a lot of workflow, and the dealers have basically responders on staff.
So there you go, Jay. That's the theme. How do you do more with less? That's what it's going to be about.
You know, I appreciate like some of these specifics, because when I hear dealer training, I don't think I'm alone. I think of like, well, lots of push-ups and hype, but it's not. You gave some specific examples of what this dealer training looks like, right? And you're right. Pushing back on technology, man, that's universal. This is a universal problem. Every business has people that are trying to push back on the adoption of technology.
Yeah, and I'll even pick on Nick. Nick, I don't know what AI tool you're using. It really does make a difference. But the question is, when you implement AI, did you adjust your workflow accordingly given the way the technology works?
Yeah, we're not making it fit our workflow. We're adjusting to its workflow so that we can build and grow with it.
Okay, that's good. Because a lot of times, like, you buy the technology and you got to kind of figure it out, you know? And it's true, right? I mean, it's true. Let's say, hey, I'm going to sell you this. Go figure out how to shoot video, right?
Yeah, at least I'm somewhat familiar with it. I piloted it about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, for a company that was looking to buy it out. So I had pretty good experience with it. So then it's like, well, here now in the franchise stores, looking for some type of consistency beyond what I currently have, as we are spending the first month of this year working on our conversational sales process and our difference here at the dealership and actually greeting customers versus making a transactional. So I like that you brought that up. But meanwhile, I'm also working on that long-term follow-up and that engagement piece to where here, now we're going to jump into the conversation here at this point versus poorly doing all of it 100% of the time, right? You have the inconsistency of you got a 3-month or 8-month salesperson is, I didn't get to those phone calls. I just want to get off them so I can say I did them, right? What's your quality control look like and consistency on your approach to your follow-up with your customers?
Yeah, and that's why I always tell everybody is when you're going out there, like, here's the thing: is every activity that every dealership is doing is steering around engagement. And one of my slides, Nick, that I have when I'm presenting on conversational commerce versus transactional, and I'll make it very plain and simple, is whether it's you, Tim, or you, Nick, do you value 100 phone calls, 100 emails, or 100 texts, or 100 videos? What do you value?
I'd like 100 videos. That'd be feels pretty deep to me. But
yeah, I would take the videos.
You tell. Well, I don't know.
It's whatever gets the most engagement, right? And we know texting, right, will get you at least a 34% engagement rate. Your phone call engagement's like 9%, 12%. Email is 9%. So what we do at the dealership is we're measuring the wrong activity for our salespeople and agencies to do. That does not get the job done at the dealership. Yeah. It's just they're looking at it. Oh, you made 100 phone calls. You can go home today.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the quota thing, I'm really biting my lip here. I've never liked quotas. I understand. It's like reps, right?
Right.
You got to do your reps and you got to keep your chops up. But at some point, what are we measuring? Right?
At the end of the day, it's got to be.
You got to open up that Rolodex. There's plenty of $100,000 incomes in that Rolodex, Jay. Make your calls.
Oh, man. I would never last at a dealership.
Yeah, I mean, but see, that's where I
make calls. I mean, I'll make calls. I get that.
Yeah, here, even like the younger generations now, you get a phone call, they let it go to voicemail, and then when they do call, they don't even leave voicemail. So, like, how many of us actually? Some don't even check voicemail.
See, but that's because they know
calls you want.
The truth about voicemail.
And I'll even prove my point. You know, you can give me Nick's number tomorrow. I guarantee he will not pick up. I make a wager on that. Anybody want to bet?
Steve, if you're not already on my phone, you're obviously not that important today. But you might be
exactly. But right? That's no. But see, you just said that. That's proof in the pudding right there. Yeah. The customer does not have the store in your phone, so you're not going to pick up.
Right.
That's my point.
Right. Yeah. And then if you have a CRM that changes your phone number each time you call, that doesn't help anything either.
Well, you just got to get your number registered so they all know where it's at.
Well, that unfortunate guy named Spam Likely, he can't get any help. If email is nocturnal, then voicemail is comatose. Right?
I don't think that's true. I don't think that. I tell you what.
I knew you disagree.
I make voicemail a game.
The trans guy might work a little bit though at times.
Right, but like Steve just said, he has to make it a game.
Yeah.
To have it make some kind of sense of doing it, right?
Yep.
Because in auto transport, I've gone an hour without talking about auto transport. In auto transport, if you're booking a load, if you're calling about a load, and you leave a voicemail, like somebody will smack you. Why are you leaving a voicemail? Like that, you're never going to get that load ever. Don't do that. You're wasting time.
I've got stores that just text their drivers that, hey, I'm assigning these here on the and such, and pick them up, and it just reply, got them. Like, so it's directly to the transport, right?
That's right. Just text it. Just send it over. But let's see. Okay, how to do more with less. By the way, I think, unfortunately, and I think you're right, Tim, how to do more with less. But we all feel like we've been squeezed since the 80s. How much less can we do more with? Although, I guess that's why AI has been created. Guess what? You're going to get less. Happy New Year.
Well, listen, everybody was fat and happy during COVID. So, I mean, what are we what's the problem?
There's going to be another theme there. I think there's going to be some disruption in your management staff that we're getting paid well, almost too well, started living up to that expense, and now you're going to be asked to do more to actually produce,
right?
And it'll start looking, and there'll be some holes left, and all of a sudden you may not have that same training capacity that built the last one, so there'll be the disruption. So some dealers might be like, can I automate some of this? And is the same role of my used car manager or other roles the same today as they once were before?
Nick had said we're not at the bottom yet, although we are almost at the bottom of this show. Question, fixed ops like Stella Automotive, AI, voice chat, are we there, or is this still kind of future stuff where we're doing stuff with AI voice? You still have to sell the car as a person, right?
My experience with AI on it's fixed. You mean on the sales side?
I know I jumped around, but I know that if you can use AI voice to schedule service, then you can also use it to manage the lead.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
I don't know anybody who's using it to drive, voice AI to sell cars. Maybe to take the call and move it through the dealership. But,
right. Okay.
I mean, I do know that there are plenty of stores, and I'm using AI to drive, written, so chat is a big tool that we're seeing a lot of artificial intelligence use. Even generating emails, following people online and just kind of nagging them here and there. But as far as like voice AI and selling a car, I don't know anybody who's there yet. That sounds futuristic.
Well, it does. Well, I'm glad you said okay. So, but you answered it. Text, AI through text. Because, like, if I go on Amazon and I got a problem and I text for chat support, I don't know now if it's a person or not. I can't figure.
Do you care? Who cares? As long as I get my problem solved, I don't give a shit.
It's a games, It's, like Steve said, I'm playing games.
Look, if you're talking online, you're always talking to a bot. Let's be honest. Everybody you're talking to, I don't care who it is. The first phase one is going to be a bot, and it's going to get as much information as it can to either generate a lead, but it's going to create as much information as you can versus spending time with a human. Right. That's what it's there for.
Hey, Jay, you said fixed operations in the service side. I assume that's what you meant by fixed ops, yes?
I did, yes. Thank you.
Okay. So one thing that it's kind of a merge between what Steve and we're talking on making it conversational is that a good chunk of the dealers are migrating towards having that video MPI, that multi-point inspection when they come in for service, and actually having that technician who's not necessarily a people person, but actually showing a real car, your vehicle underneath what's really going on, intelligently saying, this is good, this shouldn't do this should do that, and help set up and help the advisors guide customers through with transparency of how to protect and or maintenance their vehicles more effectively. That's coming a long ways, and I think that's going to continue to have large adoption across the industry.
I've seen a couple of those. I think those are amazing, by the way.
What's to say a transporter couldn't send, hey, Tim, I'm out here in St. Louis. I got your cars. They're all loaded up, ready to go. I'll be there in 5 days. I know there's a storm coming, but I should be able to make it, see it.
So it's amazing. That's actually one of my secret joys is that I'm leveraging other verticals in automotive that are modern and current to try and explain what I think can be done in some of the other verticals that have fallen much further behind. I totally agree with that. Now, I think that there are some other things to solve for the carriers to, on average, do that. But yeah, I totally think so. I know a guy that he has a Facebook page and he blogs. I don't know how in the world he does it. He picks up and delivers cars and blogs, and like you can not only know where he is, but you can maybe learn about the beignets that he had at, but I mean, it's crazy. But yes, if you could personalize auto transport more to the point where, yeah, it's not just transactional, right? It's conversational, it's informative, it's personalized. That would be, yeah, that'd be amazing. I'm sure there are some businesses that are quietly doing that, and they're skyrocketing their business. They have to be. Yeah. So I'd love to see that become the norm. Like Nick, you said you could text you know of carriers that help deliver inventory to your locations, and those carriers just get texted what to pick up, where it is, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
we just at times we'll text them, say, hey, I got this, this, and this, and you'll see it assigned to you. It's like, oh, thanks, great. Just because you have that long-term relationship of that, that back and forth to PA, that back and forth to Riverside, Fort Worth. You just have those kind of common routes where you built those relationships over the years.
So I think that, yeah, that is a good example of just the roots of what can be done. But yeah, no, it'd be amazing. I've never seen that video. Hey, I'm at a truck stop. I just picked up your car. It's doing great. She's ready to go. We'll be there in a few days. Rock and roll. Now, why isn't that happening? Is it the technology, or maybe is it the rate, or is it, I don't know.
So I'm going to pitch Timmy here. We had out about 30 minutes away from Denver, a $110,000 Mercedes that we had to send a Yukon to them. They're buying a Yukon from us. They have this Mercedes that we're not going to keep. We're going to send it down to Miami. And I had to get ACV to go down there and do a condition report on it, make sure it all stood tall, and we were never to see the vehicle. So ACV gave us all the condition report, all the information, digital, camera, you name it, and we sent it down to our wholesaler down in Miami and never touched the car, and everything went well.
The guy was happy, being catching spot on.
Yeah, yep. Everyone got paid, everything went well, titles and clean, it's all good.
That's a different show, Jay. I guess we'll come back for that
Great,
one.
we'll come back for that. Shout out ACV. Right on. That was awesome. Gentlemen, we went a little late tonight, but there was some really great conversation. I made a note and also updated. Originally it said AI, EV, fintech, retailing, and fixed ops. But we ended up talking more about floor planning, training, acquisition. It's interesting. So I guess that's the end cap is what are the other areas when you get to NADA and you're there? What are other things that are going to get talked about or done that we haven't discussed tonight? There could be many things, but help me out.
The biggest popular one for the last year, 2 years has been the EV piece, and I think it's becoming less of a threat. And as earlier in your show, you're having some fun with it, but there's some challenges with the EV adoption. But as dealers, we're still going to be looking at how to protect ourselves from having a bad battery. And there's different products out there that are going to eventually give you history on those batteries and whether they have a life or not. So you could have a low mile vehicle worth less than a high mile vehicle with a better battery. So that's one piece that is, I think, for the next year and a half, will still be in these shows. then we have to watch and see where we need to adopt and protect ourselves as dealers.
Well, is the EV hangover kicking in? Are we coming down to earth a little bit on this?
Think so.
Go ahead, Timmy, because I think the OEM dealers are sick of it.
Yeah, well, I think we'll see. That'll be a topic of discussion, right, over in February in Vegas. But the sentiment, as Ford you're seeing it from Ford, not yet quite from the others, but I think soon GM will hop on board where we're pulling back. But that doesn't mean, to Nick's point, that they're coming, just not at the rate that we expected. And how do we deal with them? How do we sell them? How do we price them? Or how do we deal with this credit you were talking about? I got dealers really up in a tizzy on how to deal with this credit. And then how do we inspect the used ones? And what do we do? How do I know that what does good look like on a used EV? And how do I transport it? Because those SOBs are heavy, aren't they?
Well, they are. Well, yeah. Well, and it seems like there's a lot of problems in front of the transport. How about, you just made me think of, how about a customer that's on the fence? And you got somebody that's like, yeah, go EV, go, 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 go. And then maybe that didn't work out so well. Now they're not happy at all.
And how do you deal with the
I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there like the EV, the more I think about it, and SNL I was going to run it, but I didn't want to get the YouTube kickoff. But, SNL did there's a new Mercedes-Benz AA class, and it runs on over 9,000 AA's.
Oh, I think I saw that's an old one.
Oh, is it old? Okay.
I think if it's the one I'm thinking about.
Well, it probably is. Tina Fey, 9,000 AA's. No,
it's been a while.
I
do remember.
So Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
In the upper Midwest, when it starts getting cold, we see a significant increase of trade evals on range anxiety customers that got into their really excited EV, and all of a sudden they started out the morning with 280-mile range, and they're going to go, 160 miles in about 10, 15 minutes in the cold. They're going, and all of a sudden it drops down to 120 miles. They don't know if they're going to make it. So that can happen. That is a real thing out there. All of a sudden you have them come back and looking to trade out, only to find out that, yes, even the trade values are going down, especially in the winter when it comes to Minnesota climates and or the upper Midwest on those EVs. So that, I think it'll adjust over time and correct, but you got those first-time buyers running into that situation.
How about the dealers that had to decide, faced with the cliff, do we go EV, do we not go EV? I just would read those. I'm like, man, this just sounds like a terrible situation.
I think.
Go ahead, Timmy.
I think some of them are probably calling their lawyers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Has any dealer ever felt good making a decision at the end of a barrel?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's a lot of Ford stores that spent a lot of money to get upgraded. I know of an absolutely beautiful Cadillac store that was put in place to deal with the EVs, and Cadillac has yet to deliver on those cars. We'll see.
No.
Man.
Wow.
We'll see what happens.
Wow.
Hey, I do have another thing that I hope they talk about at NADA. It's there's a lot of stuff going on with, these customer privacy acts and things of that nature. PII, what's all restricted, even texting, how crazy it's gotten.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of laws. I really hope that's covered quite a bit in some of the sessions.
Yeah, there's quite a bit more coming out to say, hey, this is effective January. This is effective by June of next year. Like, there is quite a few things coming at us from all different directions that the FTP, et cetera, is going to be coming after. Yeah, you need to start watching yourself further and further. Especially those lower dealerships that are putting a bunch of add-ons that are not disclosed. That would be a big piece.
Yeah, that's right. I think Brooke from BZ Consultants was talking about that on Facts Not Feelings. And also, if just getting a copy of the ID so they can drive, you need to delete that, or you can't have it on a certain device, or right? It's like, There's a
Well,
lot.
like just
realize
keeping anything inside, like for example, a database, like obviously with CRM, you can't even house that stuff in some of the states. Like even it's gotten so crazy, and I don't know, Nick, if your state's, I don't think Minnesota is, but then you go down to Florida, you go to some of these other states. If you give a proposal, you can't even put the name of the person on the proposal.
It's not that crazy, but yet, you have to have everything protected, and then you have to actually go through all your vendors, make sure any information you provide them, that they have the right protections as well. So you're liable for those pieces.
Yeah, it's just gotten really crazy.
So there's a lot. Yeah, okay, there you go. So there's a lot of different ways to get education on topics, and I guess that would be why there's so many sessions.
That's one thing I don't know if anyone going to NADA the first time, because you got such a big show and all these different products out there. There's so many actually good classes and sessions that are before and different times. Be careful not to give in and go golfing with one of your vendors that's trying to take all your time and keep you away from everything else.
Totally.
And actually take some time to actually get something out of it, because these sessions are pretty worthwhile, whether it's accounting, whether it's compliance, whether it's sales oriented, whatever. There are some really good sessions there, and Michael Hayes and his team, they do a lot of good job getting different people in there for NADA, amongst others.
I second that. If you let anybody take you off campus for any event, see if you can get a clock on that thing so you can get back, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I always think about too is, like the show floor. I mean, let's be honest, Nick, I'm sure you would agree to this, and I'm sure Tim, you'll agree. These trade shows are just like, nobody goes to the booths as much as they do. Nick's going to have his badge turned around. Sees them, but really the reality is I really wish that, and I'm saying this on behalf on the vendor partner side, is just, man, learn something about somebody you don't even work with. I mean, you should walk around, and if there's other vendors that are competitors, like the store, the vendors are in like a 10 by 10 space. Those are usually the companies that like these big companies buy, because they're more tech savvy. These other big companies, they don't invest, they acquire.
So like last year, randomly I stopped at VetX, right? And who acquired them? Was that Reynolds? Who acquired VetX? Do you recall?
Oh boy, I don't know.
It might have been Reynolds, but it's one of the one-offs that they got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. They got a suite here of different products offerings. Like, okay, and then all of a sudden they get gobbled up by someone. But you always just like, hey, I'm working with one vendor all the time, but what's new somewhere else in the similar comparisons? Like, okay, is that going to come, or can you work with your own vendor to actually help enhance the product you have, be better tomorrow than you were yesterday?
It's definitely worth going to. So, Jay, you had the map up of the West Hall where it's the expensive real estate, where the North Hall, where, let's face it, the real estate isn't as expensive, but yet it's worth going through there and talking to people and saying hello.
Startups and
well, that's where we started. We started off in that hall because NADA does it by a point system. So once you start going and you sponsor, you get the hotels, you get more points, then you get a good room.
Yeah.
So just advice on that, Tim. So the West Hall, that's the big one, right?
Right, where GM and Ford is in the back, and you got the Cox Automotive Row, and you'll have the NADA Pavilion. That's a great place to go and hang out. They have great speakers that speak for like 20, 30 minutes at a time.
Right.
A great spot. But take the Sky Bridge and go across to the North Hall and say hello and say, what do you do?
Wow.
And,
is that where you're at, Nick? Or I'm sorry, Tim?
No, we're over. I'm with ACV. We're
ACV, yeah. It's going to be over here.
We're right there.
You don't have Pacino say hello to my little friends?
Hello. I don't even know where our booth is, guys.
We're right. We're right by the end. You're not too far from where we are.
So this is the big show, prime time, West Hall.
Yeah, we're right in the middle there.
Okay, yeah.
Long story. Where our spot goes back a long way. It's a long story.
Maxi.
One day, yeah.
Edge, right? We go back to Edge days or not?
Yeah, the Ryan and Associates. Yeah, that's why we got our spot way back in the day.
Hey, we just built a brand new booth for this, so it better be killer.
So Steve, I'm coming to say hello. I'm excited to meet you. We've got some mutual customers that I want to make sure we're on par with, and I do have some questions about integration on a couple of things that I'm hoping you could point me in the right direction to who to talk to.
Yeah, we'll have some guys in there. I mean, typically day 3 is integration day.
Exactly. That's right. I'm there. Don't worry.
You know what's really, I think what's amazing is, so if you work in any way with dealers, you're probably at NADA, right?
Yeah.
Or you wish you were, right? Because remember, but that's so fascinating. There aren't many shows where it is. Somebody said it's the Super Bowl. I mean, this is prime time dealer trade show central of the year, right? This is the big one.
Yeah,
I know I'm hyping a lot, but my first time at NADA, I don't know, 2019, 2018, man. I mean, I got there, I was like, what happened? Oh my God, I had no idea it was this crazy.
Well, and I'll tell you what, last year was probably our biggest year. And I don't know, like, Tim, you being at Max Digital, I knew some of all the folks that worked there way back in the day. And I mean, everybody's moved on, with Lithia and stuff like that. But at Max Digital, that is. Because are you at ACV or are you at Max Digital? That's what I was trying to...
ACV acquired Max Digital in 2021.
Okay, got it. Okay. But yeah, I'll tell you what, when we first went because we were a startup, and I still remember being in I think it was San Francisco. We were in like the way in the back of the hall. We had this.
That was a small. You had to go outside in San Francisco and get a cab to go to the other place.
Exactly. We were in building number 4. Yeah. But I mean, last year was just. I'd like to think that there's a lot of things going on, like with obviously our competitors, that I think a lot of people were, with big company mentality, people want that small company touch as far as in technology with what we're doing. So I think this year with what we focus on with AI engagement is really catapulting it. But the one thing that I would always tell any dealer watching this or any vendor partner watching this is, when you're talking to your dealer partners or, the dealers are talking to their partners that they're working with, you need to ask them what's hot. Like, who do you know in the marketplace? If I could walk somebody over to your booth, Tim, because I know and trust what you guys are doing at your company, that's kind of like what I think dealers need to do. If a dealer is going out there investigating, and I call it vendor validating, there's no better way to validate than ask your fellow, not dealers, because the dealers only know with what they know, but a vendor partner hooking you up with somebody else that knows what you're doing, that's gold, in my opinion. I mean, you got to trust your dealers, don't get me wrong, but people always know with what they know.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, and I will say I really like doing that. I know a lot of people when I go to Used Car Week. Not NADA, not as much. I feel more like a fish out of water, which is why, I would definitely go back. And I capitalized. I met some really interesting people like Matt Jones at True Car. I asked enough questions and met Matt Jones at True Car, which is why I suggest when you go to a trade show, have some A game, study, practice that elevator pitch, do whatever you can. Don't get roped into a corner somewhere with a couple of beers and then 4 hours go by. You want to make the most out of that show. But to introduce people in booths to other booths is the jam. When you get to that point, man.
I think it's pretty cool if a dealer comes up to me, like Nick, if you ask me like, hey, what's the best DR tool out there? I don't know, or what's the best inventory tool? I'm going to have like my opinion, but I'd rather hook you up with other dealers. But I know definitely people in those spaces where I'd be like, hey, let me just introduce you to a couple people. And that's what I think the whole NADA, it's really should be about networking and, to find the right spot versus just, throwing a dart on that map and landing somewhere,
And can we say that? I think that, maybe there's too many. I don't know, maybe it's the quota thing. There were several booths I went to. I couldn't even get a conversation going. I'm like, I know I'm not a future customer, but I promise there might be potential in here somewhere. But because I didn't appear to be a customer, I just couldn't get a conversation going.
Too bad.
I got a good one for Nick. I want to put Nick on the hot seat real quick, and this will be great for us, Tim. You ready for this, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay. You're walking by my booth or Tim's booth. Your badge is turned around.
Yeah.
What can I say to you to encourage you to stop?
Good question. I'm probably one of the worst ones at it because I have a fault of scheduling every 5 minutes of my time there with sessions and classes and then vendors specifically. But there's like that 5 minutes where all of a sudden I finally can walk around and open up and actually raise my head. I still have my badge backwards because of the hard closing piece. I don't have a perfect answer for you.
Damn, man, I was going to use it.
So it is hard to get a dealer to stop.
But
it's very hard for us. Like, you can sit there and ask, hey, who's your inventory management tool? Who is your CRM? And then you consider, hey, do you know so-and-so? So maybe if you know someone from the other competitors, that might help you get in there.
But what you just brought up is because when let's say I'm doing that, I'm walking down, I'm not looking, and I'm not, I'm going to keep walking, and somebody's able to stop me, and I have an engaging conversation, and then I realize, wow, they did it. That was so smart. I'm glad they did that. But what is it? I bet, Steve, you could rope in. I bet you could rope in that random that doesn't want to talk.
Dude,
right?
You never know what the hell I'm
roping in randoms.
I'm the roper. I am the roper.
Man,
There's no doubt in my mind.
That's a skill.
Steve.
That is
You're very good at it. Yeah.
Dude.
No, I have fun roping. That is true. That was like literally when you're at the booth. I mean, you need your ropers, and then you have the people. If I go around, I'd go around to probably Tim's booth. I'd look for a dealer, and I'd say, "Oh, there's Nick. Hey, Nick, come on here. Let me show you something."
He has like silver six guns, and he's man.
Steve, I see you at our booth stealing people. I might cut you. I might karate chop you or something. Come over the top.
Oh, gentlemen! All right, thank you so much. Listen, I'm gonna end the show here. Steve from Drive Centric, Tim at Max Digital, Nick at Penn's Automotive. This was an awesome panel. Thank you so much for your time, and Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
Golf clap for Jay.
Thanks, guys. Good
you
job, Jay.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Right on. Peace. Thank you. All right, man. That was awesome. Yeah, JT, thank you. I can't, I can't plan. There's no way I can plan all that. I have no idea exactly. Oh, there's the map. I don't know what we're going to do. I just know that, I see something approaching NADA, and I know that there's a lot of us that have no idea what this is, what it's about, the benefits of it, what it can bring, what it can be. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. And I here was what's interesting is, luckily I'm able to, man, the audio is going crazy. I'm able to kind of see, some of the things that I did, and then, I'll go ahead and raise my hand and point out, like, I did not know what NADA was, not fully, and I didn't know how big it would be, and I didn't know exactly who would be there. I didn't do hardly any research. I just showed up. And, okay, so that's a mistake. So, before you go to a trade show, go to the website, look and see. Yes, the education's important, but your first year at a trade show, you're pretty much just going to be in the expo hall just trying to figure out what's going on. But that's not true for every show, and that's why, if you have a question, send me an email. All right, I'm talking too much. I've been talking and talking and talking. I want to thank Murphy Auto Transport, Superflow Systems, AuctionVCommerce, Dealerslink. I want to thank Steve Roessler at Drive Centric, Tim Scoutelas at Max Digital, and Nick Johnson at Penn's Automotive. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in the live chat. Mark Grodicke, thanks for making martinis. Sure, do appreciate it. And Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first show on ATI of 2024. Got a lot more to do. I got, another 51 live shows on a Tuesday night. Maybe 50 shows-ish, between 40 and 50 on a Thursday. Lots of YouTube shorts. We're also going to be doing some other types of videos. And actually, tomorrow, I'm going to try to do a live on LinkedIn test. So we're going to see about that, see how that goes. Anyways, thanks everybody so much. If you missed the show live, you can watch it on demand. You can get the podcast. Most people opt in for that, so thank you so much. And remember to tell a friend, like, share, subscribe, talk about ATI, auto business, yada, yada, yada. Okay, Jay, run the car hauler. Happy New Year's, everybody. Thank you so much. Peace out.